Martise will come around the screen, get in the lane, step back jumper on the way. Got it. Offensive rebound, Alex White. Putback is good.
It's center court with Charlie Ernst on 88.3 WLFC.
Martise needs to pick it up, sends it ahead to Ricardo. Ricardo to Terrence Sullivan, who slams it down with one hand.
Join Coach Ernst and the Oilers On Air team as they take a look back at the week that was, discuss what's happening around the conference, and preview the week ahead.
Back over to Alex White. Alex, kick out to Elijah. Nick will launch it from downtown. Nick Rusatz buries it from three.
Now, let's join men's basketball coach Charlie Ernst and the voice of Oiler basketball, Jason Granger.
Hello and welcome to Center Court with Charlie Ernst. I'm Jason Granger, another edition of Center Court. And Coach, this one a pretty satisfying victory on the road. 2 wins up in the UP, something we haven't done since 2009-2010 season. It's got to feel good.
Man, I'll tell you, it's such a relief to make this long trip and find a way to get 2 wins. We're coming off a finals week, so we had a lot of distractions there, but thought we got things started off on the right foot. Had a really good win against Northern Michigan, where a lot of guys played. We played well, and I think that gave us the energy and the enthusiasm to come up here to Tech and get a win on Saturday. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with our guys.
2 victories. We'll start with the game on Thursday, and you win. You put 100 on the board. They only get, I think it was 56, 44-point win, and that's maybe a little surprising from the standpoint of going to that gym. You expected a battle on a Thursday. They had all week to prepare for you, and you guys just blitzed them from the start.
Yeah, that's something I didn't see coming. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I mean, certainly Northern's had stronger teams in the past, but still they've gotten some good wins this year, and we are playing on their home court. And as you know, there's no easy game in this conference, no matter where you're playing or who you're playing. So yeah, a lot of things went right for us. We shot the ball well, had contributions from a lot of guys. We finished around the rim, and then I think things just snowballed on them. We had a slight little stretch in the second half where we got a little sloppy, but we righted the ship pretty quick. And like I said, it was a good win from the standpoint. A lot of guys got to play, and a lot of guys, enjoyed some success that night.
It was 18-16 with about 13 minutes to play in the first half, and you guys went on and finished the half on a 39-11 run, and that was the story. But you talk about getting a lot of contributions defensively. It was impressive. They had some talented guys on the offensive end. You guys put the kibosh on them.
We did. I think it started with our defense on their point guard. Eccles kid, he's their leading scorer, averages 18 a game. He's really fast. He probably doesn't score in the quarter court quite as well as the kid from Lake Superior State, but nonetheless, he's a very good offensive player, and in fact, I think he had maybe over 20 against Hillsdale on Saturday. So we held him to 1 point, and that was a couple guys. That was obviously Ricardo and Trey. Did the lion's share of the work on him. We got him contained in transition, and when you're defending a team, we scored at a pretty high clip. So they were taking it out of the net and having to take it out of bounds as opposed to taking it off the rim. He's more effective in transition than he is in the quarter court, and I thought our ability to score at a high rate probably eliminated some of his offense.
You're getting a lot of contributions from your bench. You did that on Thursday night. Tyler Stern-Tucker, who really had a great weekend. It was perfect on Thursday. I think he was 7-7 and knocked in a 3, but his play has been outstanding here to start the season.
Well, he's a tough matchup. He's a lot of people talk about the tough matchup Taryn is, and obviously he is. But I would probably say that Tyler's probably our second toughest matchup, and he's long enough, tall enough, and physical enough to guard the centers in our conference, but it's awfully difficult for the centers in the conference to guard him. So he gives us an element. I think we're continuing to find different ways to make him a real weapon on this team. As I've said many times, I think the key for us is to have that number 3 and number 4 scorer, that consistency of having other weapons on the floor, so that Martise and Taryn are going to get guarded really hard. And certainly Tyler, maybe Elijah, those are guys that I think can step into that role as the number 3 and 4 options. And I think that's maybe one of the things that came to light this weekend. As you mentioned, Tyler really had a really good weekend all around and forced Michigan Tech to play awfully small most of the game.
Well, you're coming off a game on Thursday night where you lost at home to Lake Superior State and didn't even have a lot inside. You get 16 from Tyler Stern-Tucker with 9 rebounds, and then Alex White, he had a great game as well, 17 points, 8 rebounds. And when you guys can get that inside play, it really opens up things.
Sure does. It's interesting. We talked last week, and we attempted 42 threes against Lake State. And, they eliminated our inside game because they doubled and just did a good job of clogging the lane. And really, we had some great looks. They just, some went in, but not enough of them. But Northern did some different things. They wanted to play us a lot of zone, tried to play us some zone. I thought we did a great job of making the extra pass and finding our big guys along the baseline and in the middle of the zone and got the ball to some spots where those guys could find success and then they capitalized. And then once they went man to man, we already had things rolling pretty good. The guys were confident. And just kind of continued where they left off in the first half. So we need more of that, and for us it's probably more of a team effort type thing. Different guys on different nights. I think the most important thing is as we go down the road is just having a consistent threat down, in the paint, and obviously we had that on Thursday night.
And got our second taste of Trey Smith, and Trey is a different kind of player that maybe we're accustomed to the last couple years. He had 4 steals in this game, and at 5'10", is athletic enough to go inside and grab rebounds too. I mean, he's a physical player and a very aggressive player at the point.
He doesn't look very physical when you look at him, but this is a kid that was a standout in football as well. He's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid to throw his body around in there. But, yeah, I think the biggest thing that Trey does is, you always talk about wanting your guys off the bench to bring a spark. And I would say that's the best way to describe Trey, is when he comes in the game, no matter the situation, he just provides a spark. And that's the best way to describe his play. He plays really fast. He kind of plays with a little grit, a chip on his shoulder. It just has a lot of qualities that are very difficult to coach. And it's a changeup. Here you got Ricardo as our starter, and he's more of a big, strong point guard. He can post you up. People worry about him on the glass. He gets into the lane with his body and his strength. And then we bring in Trey, and Trey's kind of just the opposite. He's that water bug guy that, uses his quickness. He got great hands, just unbelievable hands. So we got really good play from that position. And, it's the team coming off losing a point guard that arguably one of the better point guards in the league in terms of managing the game and the situation. The one thing I told Dan, Coach Shardo, that I'd be interested to see with our team is how well we would manage end-of-game situations without Austin. He was really good in those situations of understanding time, score, making sure we got into our sets cleanly, and I guess that I think our point guards are starting to learn, and they're getting better each game.
They certainly are. It's a big win, 100 to 56, 44-point win at Marquette. The Oilers shoot 61% from the floor with a big victory, and that victory propelled us to Saturday, and we had an instant classic there in Houghton, a game that came right down to the wire, and it's got to feel good to come away with a win.
Oh man, yeah, I tell you what, Michigan Tech's a great club. I mean, their record I think is like 500, but they played their first 4 games of the year without their best player, who was injured, Kyle Monroe. I think if they have him, they win probably 3 or 4 of those. So really, this is a team that's probably more like an 8-2, 7-2 type team, and to beat them on their home floor, and they're playing well. They're a very good offensive team. I mean, this group of guys they have right now reminds me a lot of the team that they had back in the early 2000s when they were ranked number 1 in the country and made some great runs in the tournament. He's putting some good pieces together. We knew we had our work cut out for us. It was just a really good college basketball game, and I feel better about describing it that way since we came out on the positive end. You hate to talk about great games and you're on the losing end, but this one came out in favor of us, so couldn't be happier for our guys.
Had a really good first half, able to get up by 7, and then got in a little bit of foul trouble. Michigan Tech able to kind of claw their way back into it at the foul line, and I think that gave them some momentum at halftime. And then you guys had some adversity as well. Michigan Tech actually got a 9-point lead there early in the second half, had to battle all the way back.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what happened when we got down 9, but I do know we forced a couple turnovers, got a couple breakaways. And anytime you can use your defense to kind of jumpstart your offense. I do know we started changing up our defenses at that point, and I think that helped too. It kind of got them out of rhythm a little bit, and then we made some shots. Elijah hit some big shots coming down the stretch, and he was kind of the open guy, and then once he made a couple, they guarded him a little harder, but by then he was kind of feeling it, and so good to see, and I know he feels good about that because he's had some open looks this year, including that Lake State game that he probably felt like he should have made, but he's such a confident player. I mean, he never looks like he lacks confidence as a shooter. Even if he's 2 of 8, he still looks like a confident shooter, and he shot it well. We needed that.
That was a career high 22 points for Elijah, and you got maybe the best game of the season, if not his career, and Terrence Sullivan, stat sheet stuffer, you might say. 25 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. I think they missed one of his rebounds, should have had 9, but Terrence was unbelievable and did everything you needed him to do down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a tough matchup. We really challenged him, to be honest, in the pregame leading up to the game during scouting report video session on the defensive end. Because he was guarding Kyle Monroe, their best offensive player, an explosive offensive player in his own right. So that was an interesting matchup in that they were guarding each other. And, as good as Monroe is, I would say Taryn got the better of him. They had to run a double team at him, and Taryn is such a good passer that rarely does he force shots. I mean, he stepped up, hit that big 3 in the corner near the end of the inside a minute to play. I think it gave us the lead, if I'm not mistaken. But it was just an all-around great effort by Taryn, and he just continues to get better and better each game out. I mean, speaking of his own selfishness, the last play of the game winner, he could have easily taken that shot, and in some ways maybe we would have preferred that because of where the shot clock was at. But in typical Tarrant fashion, he delivers a beautiful pass to Tyler, and Tyler gets it off just in time to beat the shot clock and finishes that. But it was just a great. It was maybe a way to showcase Tarrant's all-around skill the last play of the game.
It certainly was. Finished with 9 assists. You mentioned Tyler Stern-Tucker, 12 points again. He had 16 on Thursday, 12 on Saturday. His weekend was outstanding. But, I thought Cat Singleton had a great game on Saturday, especially. Now, he had some foul trouble. Maybe you might have played him a little more. But, you look at his stat line, you say, well, he just had 4 points. But it seemed like every time you guys needed a stop, you needed a little play, he was in there with a dig or something to get something done.
Yeah. Well, that's what Cat does. He's kind of the silent assassin in there. You don't always notice him, although he's starting to make more and more plays that are noticeable. But he's really good in that role where he'll make a post move here or there, and then he'll grab an offensive rebound, get a couple great checkouts. We can use him in our different defenses, and I think he's comfortable and confident now on the defensive end, which is making him more aggressive. I think he played a little bit back on his heels last year as a freshman. This year he's playing more on his toes. He's being more aggressive on both ends of the floor, and that's really needed. It gives his team versatility. And as I've said many times, Tease is going to have his tough nights. Pig's going to have his tough nights. Taryn's going to have to, but when you have a lot of guys that can hurt you, then other guys will step up on those nights. I think the thing with Katuan that's probably one of the best parts of his game that we're just continuing to figure out ways to take advantage of it is his back to the basket game. He's really tough to stop in there. He's got a great little jump hook. He's more physical than he looks, and he just has confidence down low. And he got a couple buckets around the rim. I'm not sure about his fouls. I mean, I have to go back on video and see those. It seems like he gets a lot of phantom fouls where, the ref will blow the whistle and come to the table, and you're thinking it's on someone else, and they'll call it on him. So I'm not really sure. I'd have to see, but I think he would have probably played a bigger role on the game against Tech had he not been in foul trouble. But got his third foul in the first half, and then his fourth one pretty quick in the second half. So, and then we got comfortable with other lineups, but no, he's gave us great contributions all weekend.
It was a big win for the Oilers, 72-70. We're up against a break here on center court. When we come back, we'll wrap this game up and look ahead to the next games to come. You're listening to Center Court with Charlie Ernst on 88.3 WLC.
Only 0.5% of all high school student athletes play basketball in college, but all 100% of them become adults. That's why playing basketball in their high school team is so important. High school athletes learn life lessons that help them grow up, lessons that can't be taught in the classroom and often aren't taught at home. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Check out my new time machine.
Does it work?
Hit the button.
Hey, it's Napoleon.
Oui. Check out the future.
Hey, you have a nice house. Why don't I?
You didn't save any money, buddy.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and fix that.
Yeah.
Save something for the future. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Center Court. Jason Granger here with you. I want to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Oilers On Air. And we're here with head coach Charlie Ernst. And Coach, still talking about that Michigan Tech victory. And let's talk about the end of the game, because I think a lot of people remember, like we talked about in that first segment, Aaron getting the ball to Tyler and the big score. But there was a stop right before that gave you guys a chance.
Well, yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, can't remember who it was against, but we played a 1-3-1 at the end of a game, and I remember Jim Givens walking into my office after the game and saying, man, that was gutsy, playing a 1-3-1, to get a stop at the end of the game. And I said, I didn't think it was that gutsy. I had confidence in it. Well, that's the same defense we were in against Michigan Tech. I mean, here's the thing, they were able to get threes and get comfortable. They know they're a very smart team. They're efficient. A 1-3-1 forces you to just sort of play. And we were in. It was either a 1-3-1 or a different kind of a little bit of a matchup zone type thing that we do. But nonetheless, really they had a guy open on the block, and Tyler did a great job. Did his job. His job is really to make anything from the high post down low contested, and he got his hands on a ball, and it popped up in the air, and one of our other guys, I think, stole it, but hopefully Tyler got credit for that steal because really it was his. So he really got the stop down there at that end, and then to finish the way he did, that was kind of a combination of two plays that he made inside a minute to play that got us the win.
Well, Michigan Tech in that second half, we mentioned it earlier, got up to that 9-point lead. It's really hurt you guys against your half-court defense. And out of the timeout, you switch and you start going to some 1-3-1, and you fall back into 2-3, and you multiple possessions, you switched it. And I think that was as key as anything in that ball game.
Yeah, and then we did mix up a little bit of full court press in there as well. It was about 10 minutes to go when we went to that stuff. And we had plans to go to it earlier and use it throughout the game, but we were defending them pretty well. I mean, he had 29 at halftime. It was hard to change. Felt like, but I knew at halftime we were going to need something else. I just knew that they were going to make a run. I just knew playing at home they were going to find a time in the second half where they were going to get comfortable, because they're good. They're good at home, and you know, you can't hope that they continue to miss shots. I think in the first half they were like 2 of 14 or 2 of 15 from the 3-point line at halftime, and I knew that, you know, we did a good job defensively, but still they make contested threes against a lot of people. So I thought that was needed at that time, and really there was no other option. We had to change our defenses and try to change their rhythm and maybe their lineup. And you know, fortunately for us, and I was confident that it could work. We spent a lot of time in practice on those things, so it's not as though we were just grab bagging it there. We spent a lot of time on those defenses in practice for that very reason.
I also came away impressed with our poise. You know, this is our third game without Austin, and certainly I think anybody would agree that Austin, without a doubt, was the leader on this team, and certainly a guy that helped everybody stay together. And you get down 9, and there were a couple of moments in that game where it certainly could have fell apart and became a 15-point lead. The guys didn't let that happen.
And these are the kind of games that will help, I think, as we go down the stretch. And now we've been in a couple of these on the road. This is our third game, third out of the last 4 road games in this conference, where it's come down to the last possession. You know, going back to Grand Valley, then Ferris State, Michigan Tech. I mean, all three of those games came right down to the end, and we've gotten 2 of them. But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think losing Austin, where it hurts us really maybe the most, I mean, obviously there's several places, but where it hurts us the most is just his confidence from having been there, done that last year, managing a team, you know, maybe even when you're out of timeouts, managing a team on the floor and playing his role well. You know, so for us to get a win in those circumstances with new point guards, Rick did a nice job, you know, and so did Trey. We put Rick in there at the end of the game because he knows that position better and gives us a little more length, a little more rebounding, and you know, we had just enough timeouts. We took a timeout there. We used our last timeout to get organized on offense, and it worked perfectly. So fortunately, we had a timeout to get organized, and you know, so a good step for our point guards in that game.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, the final couple seconds there. You get the timeout. I think in 15 seconds you call it, and you go into the huddle, and then Coach Sardo came up with a really nice play because you're able to get Taryn on the matchup that you wanted, and then he did it from there.
But yeah, I mean, you know, Dan does a great job. You know, I think that's really where it helps, having an offensive person and a defensive person. Is, you know, you get an idea on the offensive end, because that's all you're watching is their matchups and how they're defending certain actions, and you know, so by that point in the game, we pretty much knew how they were going to defend certain things, and I don't believe they subbed there at the end. So you know, and the other thing we do work on this in practice a fair amount, and that is we'll put 30 seconds on the game clock and 25 on the shot clock, and we'll play that out, and we'll do that numerous times in terms of, you know, yeah, you're trying to score, it's a tie game, but now the understanding, make, miss, whatever the situation, there's still going to be a 5-second differential. And too often you see teams score and sometimes either celebrate or pause for a count, and a team can run it up the floor with urgency because you have 1 or 2 guys that So the last thing we told our guys is if we score, look at the clock. There's a 5-second differential, so they're still going to have a possession. And, so coming out of the timeout, Coach drew up a great set. And that was that's a set that we run anyhow. And it worked well. Like I said earlier, Taryn made a very unselfish play, made a great pass, and then they could have taken a timeout there. They still had one timeout left, but they chose to just take it and go. And I thought we defended kind of a desperation shot inside half court at the buzzer. It was pretty well defended because our guys were alert. We didn't go into celebration mode after that shot went in. We went right into defensive mode, and they didn't get a very good look there at the end.
That was a big victory, Coach. 72-70. You have a record of 7-3 overall, 4-2 in the GLIACs. 4 wins against the North, and 2 more coming up before we or after we come back from Christmas break, and give you guys a little chance here to get some rest.
Yeah, we take the mandatory NCAA Division II time off, which is the same time for every school, men and women. December 20th through the 26th, it's a mandatory time off. No practice, no lift, no team activity. So the guys get to go home and enjoy some time with their families, rest themselves. And I think that's needed. We have a couple guys that are a little gimpy right now, and I'm sure sore, and so hopefully we'll come back after they get some time to spend with their family and get ourselves geared up for a big second half of the season.
Well, you start that second half with 3 non-conference games. We play Trevecca Nazarene for the second time this year. They come to Croy, and you look at we were able to get them there where we got on a little bit of a run, but since then they've won some pretty impressive ball games. They beat Alabama Huntsville, and they're pretty legit. Yeah,
Huntsville's very good. I mean, this is a Huntsville team that I think if they weren't in the Final Four last year, they were in the Elite Eight, and they're a regular visitor to the NCAA tournament and deep into the NCAA tournament. Have a great coaching staff, and they've played Huntsville twice since we've played them, and they've split with them, and recently they beat them. So, yeah, Trevecca's played a very tough schedule. They've played Christian Brothers twice. They've played us. They've played Huntsville twice. I know I'm forgetting some good teams. I think they played Maryville out of the GLVC twice. So they're a team that's well tested. They're very young, but man, they have some talented young kids. And I think our guys, even though we won that game, when you look at the final score, you think, Findlay ran away with that one. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't think we'll have any problems getting our guys' attention, because that's a pretty talented team that obviously is playing well right now.
Yeah, certainly are, and we'll have a game against Mary Grove and a game against Carlow, and then we'll back into the GLIAC and got to finish out the North. And I guess you're saving maybe the top 2 teams in the North for last. And the good thing, we got them at home, Saginaw, and just one loss currently in the conference, and then Wayne State. I guess some people might look at them as a surprise team, but this is they've been gearing up to this, and David Greer's got them going.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time watching either one of those teams. That preparation will begin here shortly. But yeah, that I'm just thankful that we have them both at home. Be great opportunities for our fans to see some really high-level basketball coming up here in Croy, and Saginaw's was very good last year. We had a great win against them last year, and as you mentioned, Wayne State. I know that they've got a lot of guys back. Just surprised that they must be playing really well. I think that the thing they're doing, that at least from watching just box score watching, is they're back to defending the way Wayne State defends, and that is it just awfully darn tough to score on them, and they're rebounding it at a high clip. Those are the 2 things that the better Wayne State teams have always done, is rebound at a high level and defend at a high level. And any offense they get usually comes from those things. So that's kind of what I anticipate seeing when I do start watching video of Wayne State.
And this is really a key stretch, these next 5 games, because you look at it, you're 7-3 right now, and to start the year, imagine you probably feel like maybe you could have gotten a couple of those losses, but then at the same time, maybe a couple of those wins we could have gave away too. So probably about where you thought you might be.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be awfully nice if we could have knocked off Grand Valley or beaten Lake at home, but we also won a couple of those, and it's amazing. You go back on a college basketball season and you go back and look at how many games you were involved in that were tied or within one possession with 2 minutes to play. And what you find is at the end of the year, there's going to end up being about 10 of those. And if you can go 7-3 in those games, you're going to have an awfully good season. And we've already played a couple, and I guarantee you there's more on the horizon. And so our ability to continue to find ways to win those close games, I think, will be real key, not just for our team, but for any team in this league, because the parity is obvious. There's a lot of parity at the top, and the separation hasn't begun really quite yet, but it will here shortly. And finding these wins is crucial to what things are going to look like in February.
All right, Coach. Well, 2 big wins on the road, 2 victories, and the UP doesn't come off it, and that's a big plus for this basketball team. Have a good Christmas. We'll see you back on the 29th.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jason.
All right, that's head coach Charlie Ernst. You've been listening to Center Court with the coach. Want to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Oilers On Air. The Oilers will be back in action on the 29th when they take on Trevecca Nazarene. I want to thank everyone for listening. My name is Jason Granger. This is Center Court on 88.3 WLFC.
Martise will come around the screen, get in the lane, step back jumper on the way. Got it. Offensive rebound, Alex White. Putback is good.
Thank you for listening to Center Court with Charlie Ernst.
Martise needs to pick it up, sends it ahead to Ricardo. Ricardo to Terrence Sullivan, who slams it down with one hand.
Tune in every Tuesday night during the season for your connection to Coach Ernst and Oiler men's basketball.
Back over to Alex White. Alex, kick out to Elijah. Nick will launch it from downtown. Nick Rusatz buries it from 3.
This is your home for Oiler men's basketball. 88.3 WLFC.